sweet little gorgeous baby Eden, I have a game for us. You know how I love games. You know how I love games.
You're too good at them. I love games too, though. I mean, get ready. I have no idea where you're going with this, but I am very competitive.
Okay, so the title of the episode we're recapping today is called The Scratch. Have you ever played the word game where we have to go back and forth and we have to find a rhyming word with the word scratch until one of us hesitates or we can't think of a new one?
Sure. Yes. I mean, I don't, but this is a very simple concept, so sure.
Okay, ready? Just going to get into position here. Scratch rhymes with batch.
Match.
Latch.
Hatch.
That was mine. Attach.
Oh, attach. Oh. Did we say match?
I don't remember. If you didn't really notice, we're going to be recapping episode 107, The Scratch.
We are also going to be talking to Vicky Lewis, the legendary Vicky Lewis, who played Ms. Barry, the social worker, from this episode.
All that and so much more. So let's get to middling. Welcome to Middling with Eden and Brock, where I'm Eden and that's Brock, and we break down an episode of ABC's The Middle.
I wish I were you. I wish I were you.
Okay, so today, so this happened. So I did my little HIIT workout this morning, and
right.
I'd
probably 6 a.m.
Okay, probably that's a 6:10, and these two people were fighting. One guy was like screaming, and it was insane. I was like a few spots away, so I didn't really understand what was happening. But the instructor, he's about 6'8". I wish I was joking. That is a tall ass man. But he confronted them, and then he turned the music off in the middle of the workout because they were arguing. The point being is that this morning was when I discovered that we worked out in silence, is that I became a grunter. Oh my God, it was horrifying. It was because usually the music is so loud that I didn't notice, but oh my God, we were laying down doing chest presses and I went like this guttural, and I've never been so disgusted with myself in my life.
You know what's crazy is I found out a similar thing. Not similar, but it was the same situation. Same situation where I think it was actually a soul cycle. This was not recent, but please, me going to soul cycle now. This was years ago, but I don't know if I was wearing like headphones for some reason, which you're not supposed to do, or like my ears were clogged or they really did just turn off the music. But I found out I'm a hummer. Like I hum, like I can't work out unless I'm actively humming. You know, I mean, I guess I'm usually humming the song, or I'm like singing along the song that's playing. So that must have been it. I don't know why they would have turned it off, but I was like singing as I was cycling.
It would have been funnier if you were humming the song that wasn't playing, just as your own tune. How was your week? What's new with you?
Nothing. I really don't know. I have a question, honestly. I actually nobody wants to hear from other parents like, I'm like, my kid is amazing. My kid is so advanced. But I have just like a question, and I also know that there is a range. There's like you can't just say, it's not good to like compare your kid. There's always a range, whatever. Every kid develops differently. But my kid did what I thought was like the craziest thing, because they love to draw. Both of them love to draw. We can spend hours. Like they spend hours in the backyard just drawing. And I'm like, is this good for their bodies? Like, do they need more exercise?
Like different ways, yeah.
Yeah. I'm shocked at their focus. They're 3 years old. But they love to draw. And we just watched Charlotte's Web. And I love spiders. And so they have taken up, we love lizards and spiders, and we love seeing spiders. And they're always like, Charlotte. And we're like, yeah, this is our friend Charlotte. We never kill a spider in our house. In fact, they cried one time when I accidentally killed a spider. I didn't mean to. I almost cried also.
Do you use the paper scoop technique and then bring it outside?
No, I do not do that either. Do you know the truth about that? I just let them roam freely. I was reading about it, and it was like, especially like daddy long legs, let them live in your house. Unless they're like in an area, I would just move areas, like move areas. If it's in an intrusive spot, because they will kill other bugs in your house.
What? So your kids and comparing kids.
the thing with, we're gonna have to really cut down this intro, I guess. So the thing with my kid, basically, they've been drawing. They just color for the most part, or they will draw circles. They can draw circles. They've started drawing letters without my guidance. They just will draw an E, and they're like, "That's an E," and I'm like, "Yeah, that is an E," or that's an L, that's a D, which I'm like, "Damn, that's crazy." But the other day, one of my kids looked and said, "That's a spider." I was like, "What is that? That looks really precise," or that looks like a very intentional drawing. And it was. She said, "Yes, mommy, that's a spider, and that's the web." She said, "That's home."
For me, honestly, color me impressed when they draw Wilbur, honestly.
It takes a lot.
That is very impressive. I mean, speaking as someone who has never had a child and is never going to have a child, that is very... I think that's impressive. I don't know. I feel like 3 years old, I witnessed my nieces at 3, and I don't think they were drawing spiders.
Sometimes they are in fact rolling around or running in a circle, but this was crazy. Okay,
I love that. Okay, so before we dive into
on too long.
And before we dive into the episode and get into the nitty gritty, we want to remind everyone that our next live watch party is on the books, and it's set for Sunday, September 29th.
That is right, and details are to come, but please set yourself up for success. Make sure you are subscribed to the Ellert's exclusive tier on Patreon. You don't want to miss this. But also, if you just want to dip a toe, you just want to test it out before the full cannonball, you get access to the bonus content at the Spudsy special tier for just $5.
That's right. You could be that person who is cool, sitting on the edge of the pool, just dipping those feet in, sunglasses on, at that $5 tier. But if you're like me, and when I go to the pool, I jump all the way in. I know I'm getting wet head to toe, so I might as well just do it right from the jump. If you're like me and doing that belly flop, just go ahead, subscribe for that $12 Ellert's tier. You
would be a belly flop. You would be a belly flopper, Brock. I have to say that. But we need to stop talking about this, because what time is it? Middle minutes time. It's time. Here we go. It's time for the middle minutes.
All right, team. So this is episode 107, The Scratch. And so the logline is, when scrambling to gather the garbage for trash day, Frankie accidentally hits Brick with a beer bottle. When Brick brags to a school hall monitor about his mark, Frankie and Mike must answer to the police, leading a social worker monitoring the family. Unfortunately, the social worker is a spurned lover of Mike's. Meanwhile, Mr. Ellert wants Bob to shoot a new commercial for the car dealership.
This episode, yes, I have so much to say about this episode, I have to say. I was about to start and I was like, no, wait, we'll get into the recap. This is still middle minutes. This episode, The Scratch, was written by, you know them, we mention them all the time. You see their names everywhere. They are the show's creators and showrunners, Eileen Heisler and Deanne Helene. And it was directed by, again, just the fabulous, every week I say the fabulous, but I really genuinely mean it, Wendy Stanzler and Alex Reed, who I am still very close with, Alex Reed.
We should have him on the show.
Yeah, we should.
Guest cast, we have, of course, Chris Kattan as Bob, Brian Doyle Murray as Mr. Ellert, Vicki Lewis as Miss Barry, the social worker, who is so wonderful, Mary Pat Green as Miss Larimer, Adela Barnes as the receptionist at the social worker's office, and Rick Hall as Officer McCoy. That's
a lot of guest cast this week.
Mm-hmm.
The episode aired Wednesday, November 18th, 2009, at our classic time slot, 8:30, 7:30 Central. And, ooh, wow, we had 7.06, excuse me. So about 7 million viewers this week. We jumped 1 whole mil.
We sure did.
Good for us.
I do. That's a good jump. The top movie of the week, 2012, never saw it. Wasn't that like an end of the world kind of movie?
Don't even remember it a little bit.
Okay, great. And song of the week, Fireflies by Owl City, yet again.
Wow. I can't believe it stayed.
Those were the middle minutes. And when we come back, we're talking all about The Scratch. Okay, so The Scratch. Before we even dive into the main plot of the episode, I really like this episode.
Yes.
Thought it was so funny. I think... I have reasons why I liked it. We'll get to it at the end, but I do really like this episode. So, right at the beginning, the Hecks spring awake when they realize they're about to miss the trash truck. In a frenzy to collect all the trash in the house, Frankie tosses a beer bottle to Sue's trash bag, hitting Brick in the process.
That is what happens. Sorry, I have so many thoughts about this episode that I'm like all ready, but let's just get in. So yes, that is what happens. That's the setup to the episode.
When I saw this, because I don't know what your choices were growing up, mine was doing trash. What was yours? Did you have trash?
We had everything. We had like the classic. We also had like a chore chart, which I think is mentioned in this episode, that like also didn't really work, but we ended up just doing something else. We ended up, I had Poop Patrol.
Oh.
You know, because we had big dogs. But also, my mom didn't care as long as things got done. So like I would trade with my brothers a lot.
Oh,
so
like,
okay. Then if it wasn't done right, I would just end up doing I would like empty the dishwasher and pick up the poop. Or I wouldn't.
Double duty.
I'd be like, yes. Or I'd be like, I empty the dishwasher. And my mom would be like, why is the poop still out there? And I'd be like, I traded with Cosmo. And then she'd be like, well, it's not done. And I'm like, that's not my problem. And it's like, well, that was your job. And it's like, that's not
that doesn't
fair.
work like that, Mom. When I was watching this, I had visceral reactions because I was in charge of trash. And so every Friday morning before school, before I would leave, at whatever it was, 7 a.m. before school, I would have to go and collect the trash and put it out. But of course, my dad the night before would be like, Brock, so you're not racing around in the morning. You might want to do it Thursday night. And I was like, I'm fine, Dad. And then of course, I'm like backpack on and I'm like, I have to go do and I'm running around because I'm going to be late for first period. So I relate to this because I was that.
Trash is a universal experience, unfortunately. Now we're at Ellert's. Ellert announces that he wants to re-air his old commercial. Which this breaks from the mold. We were talking about this last week, right? That this isn't an episode where Ellert is just threatening to fire all of his staff. Yep. This is different. This is good. So he wants to re-air his old commercial, but he shows it, and it is so racist.
Yes,
it's
so
racist. So Bob and Frankie convince him to reshoot his so racist commercial.
Here's what I'll say. I don't mind. I feel like this B plot, I've seen it a lot, shooting a commercial and they can't get it. And I'll say this, I don't mind when I've seen this before in a couple different, sitcoms or whatever, as long as it's well done and character based.
Totally.
I thought that was this. So I didn't mind in the long run that I was expecting it and what was going to happen.
It's so funny because, yes, totally. It is like we've all seen the Brian Doyle Murray type being like, what am I doing with my hands? Or like, what's my tongue? Like we all know that's a thing. That's a trope. But I had a different experience watching this where I was like, I couldn't believe, I was like, they gave Bob and Al, like they had their own independent storyline of the Heck family. And
minus Frankie.
They all, like we're saying, season 1 is sort of finding itself. And I feel like they were trying out, they were just like testing out like which stories stuck, who are we giving our own storylines to? And I was like, I have zero recollection of Bob ever having his own storyline. And so I feel like this was a little bit of how about this? And then with no shade to Chris Kattan or Brian Doyle Murray, but I think they absolutely did find, and this happens a lot, that like the bread and butter was with the family. And so they started veering away from work, because that's when I don't want to say walking a fine line, but like if you're watching a workplace sitcom, then you're watching a workplace sitcom. And if you're if you're watching The Office, you're not watching it for the same reasons that you're watching, I cannot think of another family sitcom, but we all know all the family sitcoms.
Right.
And so I know that like everything's sort of finding its footing, and who knows, maybe if all of us kid actors were just like, insufferable and terrible, it would have become more of a workplace sitcom. But I think really they realized like, oh, people are relating to the family, so we're just going to keep it more in the family.
Centered around the Hecks.
Yeah.
Plot points eventually when it comes to Ellert. Yes, it's about like her selling cars and blah, blah, blah. But like a lot of it is she has to go to work when her personal life at home is in a tailspin. And so it still has the anchor of Frankie's home life that has spilled into work. It's not like work is its own thing. It's her family life has spilled into work.
Yes.
That's a really interesting point. I also
Yeah.
in that scene, and it's so funny watching this. I think I'm going to read the line because I wrote it down because it makes me laugh when they're looking at the video. And Patty's so brilliant here. She goes, we can, reshoot a new commercial that appeals to, young people, non-racists.
Yeah, I laughed out loud at that one.
I laughed out loud because the funny thing is, the thing that made me laugh, I bet you $1 million it wasn't scripted. She had a look, because I don't know if comedy comes in threes. I'm not sure if anyone listening to this knows that, but like comedy comes in threes. And so she says, young people, non-racist. And then she adds this look of like, and that's the one that made me laugh. It was like boom, boom, boom. And I was like, that's Patty magic. I bet you $1 million the script didn't have, quote, look from Frankie. It was Patty going, young people, non-racists. I can't do any justice, but it makes me giggle. It's so funny.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so here we go. Well, okay, then what happens? Right, racist commercial. So Frankie and Mike get called into Brick's school, where 2 police officers tell them that they will be getting a home visit from a social worker. This is, I have to say, this is my worst nightmare. This is exactly, this is why I was like, oh my God. I sometimes say things to my kids, or like things will happen and I'm like, oh, you're 3. You're just going to repeat this exactly. I'm trying to make this as quick as possible, but we bathe our children. We bathe them. But they really don't like to wash their hair. They have such long hair. They have my husband's hair. They have really, really, really long hair. Their hair is like almost to their butt. They're almost 3 years old, and like we've never cut their hair. And they hate washing their hair. And so we figured out this way to have them wash their hair, which is like they'll put a washcloth over their eyes because they don't like to get water in their face. So they put this washcloth over their eyes. And one day, one of my kids was like, like, I can't breathe. And we were like, oh my God, like, no, take the washcloth off. Like, sorry. And Nick was like, yeah, you know what? I think I've actually always felt a little uncomfortable with this washcloth, even though it's supposed to only go over their eyes, because it feels like we're like waterboarding them or something.
Torture.
And I said, oh my God, oh no, is it actually doing that? Like, are we waterboarding them? And my kid repeated, like, yes, you waterboarding me.
Oh my God.
And I was like, no. Oh my God, don't repeat those words. Oh my God, like I can only imagine her just going to like preschool and being like, yes, like mommy and daddy waterboard. We waterboard me.
Oh my God. And then you're the front page of TMZ right after that. Can you imagine?
I can't.
That is... But
it gives me anxiety even just repeating it.
You know what I love about us, Eden, is that's you're watching this and you're like, my family life, my home life, my children. I watched that scene and I couldn't take my eyes off that hot cop who didn't speak a single word, who stood in the back with a jawline that could break my life in 2. He just stood there with no words and all those muscles, and that's the only thing I could focus on was that man who was standing there in that uniform.
Oh my God, I'm crying. That is not what I expected you to say.
That's the difference, and that's why we complement each other so well.
Oh, yes, that is exactly why we work so well. It is true. That is true.
Yes, and we're going to have to ask Eileen and Deanne what their intention was with that scene, because I'm curious if it's more on my side or more on your side. But something tells me they wanted the audience to focus on the hot cop in the back, I think.
You know what? Can it be both? Can't it be both?
Oh, my
okay,
gosh.
so we're at home now, right? At home. Mike and Frankie coach Brick on what to say to the social worker. Guess what? Not looking good. It's Brick, not looking good.
During that, that whole scene with Patty and Neil, Frankie and Mike coaching Atticus, I've always known this. All 3 of you are so fab, but like child actors can sometimes, again, it's probably like a little bit of a test. Once you put them through that series regular schedule, do they stick the landing? Can we use them heavily, or do we have to have the kids fade to the background? That's like the juggling act with the series. And I will say, Atticus holds his own against these veterans of network television.
Yes. Okay, so at work, Bob does the best he can to direct Ellert for their new commercial, and after 1,000,000 takes, Ellert finally nails it. He nails it. Not like I just did with that. I couldn't do it. Ellert does much better than me reading that line. But he blames Bob for looking old.
Meanwhile, the Hex have transformed the house as best they can. But Axel's being an ass. A raccoon has gotten into the garbage and Seuss hacks into the sliding door. Hysterical.
I loved watching that. I was like, ooh, that was my first real, like, I remember that. I remember learning how to do that. I remember rehearsing it. I remember all of it. I was just placed back in it. And I was like, oh, that was funny. That's funny. It is, that was, I feel like my first, when you get like your first high, like I got a real laugh at that physical comedy venture that I was like, I'm going to get this perfect. I'm going to do it. And I got a real laugh. And I was like, I'm chasing this high now. Okay. Oh, yes.
How did you smack your head? Do you remember how you did it?
I don't remember.
Oh.
I think I didn't touch the glass. I think I had to make it look like I touched the glass.
Got it.
I remember stopping myself with my foot. Like,
sure.
Everyone watching just saw my whole foot. But I had to it was like, yeah, just like propelled myself forward with my foot. I think that's kind of the trick of it. But that was fully me. There was no stunt double. You had to see it happen. And I was like, this is great. This is great. I do have to say, this is something that I watched this with my husband. I watched this with Nick. And when we're preparing for the social worker, he said, and this was kind of a logic thing that bumped me, that is not how social workers work. They don't tell you. They do not tell you when they're coming to prevent things like this, to prepare your whole house. They just pop in. I don't even know if they give you a range. They must give you some kind of range, but like they just come by. So I was like, all right, okay, this is all right. It's funny, but I couldn't help but be like, this isn't how it would work. That's not what would happen.
Well, see, and I got tricked. I didn't even question that whatsoever. When they are preparing, though, the thing that made me laugh the hardest from this scene is that, again, escalation after escalation, and then Frankie just goes, "Where is the Bible?"
That made me laugh too.
That made me hackle. But it's just so fun. We had our set decorator. Her name is Julie K. Fanton. And so it's just like, it's so funny to see. The Hex House is always a mess, and she always changed it up for every episode. So it was like all of her work being taken away and then replaced with these gorgeous flowers and this and that. It just, again, set decoration is one of those things where you hopefully don't notice it too much. It's just supposed to like inject you into the world. But this, when we finally see the Hex House clean for the first time all series so far, you just really take notice of how good her work is.
Yeah, you really do. I noticed that too. And I was like, oh God, this is, wow. I forget, like it adds a layer of, it's like, being in a cluttered house like mine is, just like straight mess, it's like adds a layer of it's just an underlying stress, just like an all the time sort of like, you think about it. And seeing the Heck House clean, it was like, ooh, I can exhale. Okay.
Settle into it.
But it is kind of nice seeing, like, when you see it in a comedic way, it doesn't quite have the same stress. But it did. It's like seeing it messy doesn't stress me out. But seeing it clean really relaxed me.
Whenever I need to sit down in my place and do work, everything has to be like in its place. I can't have stuff all around. I definitely need a clean space, clean area, because then I'm able to focus.
I doubt your house. I know your house is clean. There is no part of me that thinks your house is anything but pristine.
Well, you'll see. I mean, no, you've already seen.
Yeah, I know. So we're with the social worker, the legendary Vicki Lewis, and she interviews each member of the family. But of course, right before she leaves, we find out there's a bombshell. There's she drops the bomb that Mike dated her and never called her back, which I did not see coming. Again, I forgot everything, and I was like, oh, interesting twist. Did not see that coming.
Yeah, it was good. It kept me on my toes. At the social worker's office, Frankie can't help herself and follows her the social worker into the bathroom and tries to talk to her while she's in the stall. And in a truly touching moment, the social worker says that meeting the Hex was the best part of her month.
Yes.
I have things to say. Can I jump in? Or no, you were about to jump in. Please go.
Jump in. No, please. Or all I will say is it just was the same sort of, it was like, oh, sitcom logic. Nope. Never, ever, ever would happen. Never. You can't walk into a social worker's office. What? No, you can't do that. But I was fine with it. I was like, oh, I'm watching two people that I really, really, really love. I don't care. It's Vicky Lewis and Patricia Heaton. I'm fine.
Oh, what a combo on our screen. I'll say this. What I do like about more so this plot and what she says at the end of it, logic aside, is I think shows are successful long term when you are centered around like certain themes and morals that you can generate story after story after story with that doesn't seem like they're regurgitating the same storyline over and over again. So what I do like about this, and it just, again, I didn't notice it until the rewatch for this podcast, but basically when Vicky Lewis is Miss Barry says, I meet a lot of terrible families. You're fine. To me, they're saying the theme of the middle is you're average. And what does she say? You're average. You're not bad. I mean, you're not great, but you're average. So again, it's what I think is so successful. It's just like, can you take that DNA, which is we're middle class, middle America, middle aged, and what are the storylines that you can do from that? I think the two main things are the middle and we do for family. And you kind of get that all. Like Frankie going to great lengths to do for family and make sure that her family unit's okay. And then the social worker saying, you're average, you're fine, you're not getting your kids taken away from you. I was like, ooh, that is the middle. And again, you don't ever want to be so on the nose with it, but rewatching it with this critical lens, I'm like, ooh, that's really good. They're really following that theme of the series.
That is perfect. Yeah. Yes, maybe that's why I just let it wash over me, because I was like, yeah, this is filling its need. I feel
we were just focused on very different things. I was focused on the hot cop and then into the themes of the show, and you're focused on waterboarding your children and logic.
I think, and that logic comes from because I'm so scared of having a social worker come to my house and be like, this is too messy. None of this is baby proofed. They will hit their heads in 1 second. Why is your kitchen locked? Why is your door lock, your lock, under your sink for your cleaning supplies? Why is that not hooked right now? Why is that? What's happening? Taking my kids away. So I'm focused on that aspect of it, and you are actually doing your job.
I don't think so. I think we're both doing our job. But Eden, I love that episode. And up next, we have our guest today, the fabulous, always working, never not working, Vicky Lewis, who played Miss Barry, the social worker.
Okay. I am so excited to introduce our guest for this episode. We had such a journey getting to this point. So I'm going to just go right into it. We have this fabulous, iconic, we throw that word around a lot, but this is truly an iconic human being.
I can't stop. Go on. What? No,
you can. But you can.
But I'm not good at taking, and you will.
She was born and raised in Cincinnati. She is a savant of stage and screen. Just a handful of highlights because we don't have time to go through the whole list. She's on Broadway and theater. She did Damn Yankees. She's been in Chicago, Anastasia, literally, truly countless more.
You've been reading. Go ahead. Like, you've done your homework.
Wikipedia does wonder.
Also, that was so condescending. Like, you did your homework. Like, oh, okay.
I don't know. So I think I needed to hear that. Okay, here we go.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Yes.
Some TV and film roles. She's been in Finding Nemo. She's been in Godzilla, apparently. And of course, her absolutely iconic role as Beth in NBC's News Radio and this is, I'm going 96 episodes.
I'm blessed, because I worked in television when there was only 4 or 5 channels. And so, the middle you were in that lane as well, where you're it's a network salary and a network residual plan. And not to go right, but I feel really worried and kind of sad for the younger kids who are trying to make a career in television. Anyway.
Please welcome to the show.
Oh, is that you were still trying to get through? You were still trying to make an intro. I can't.
Vicky, how fabulous it is to have you here. Oh my God.
Oh, thank
What
you.
just a shining light.
Oh,
So we
thank you guys. You too.
And truly, thank you, because we know you were just saying, you have another podcast to do after this, because, again, you've been on every single sitcom that's ever existed in the world.
It's weird. I mean, that's not weird, and no, but that's very sweet of you. But I think we were talking about it earlier. I haven't done, like, any podcasts in, like, I don't know, 11 to 7 years. And so then we had to reschedule ours because we had there was a little hitch in the giddy up. And then I was writing you back, and they were like, "Hey, Vicky, you ready for the Seinfeld podcast today?" And I was like, "Eh?"
I mean, of course, you are a hot commodity right now. It would be so funny. Like, that's such a funny thing to be like, it's so strange that these middle people are like, I guess they're obsessed with Seinfeld. Okay. Okay, so I want you to talk about, you started talking about this a little bit off mic, and I want to hear about this. We always ask everyone, how did the middle come into your life?
I was doing a show called Three Sisters on NBC, which was on after, I did that right after NewsRadio, kind of closed. It wasn't on Broadway. And you guys, I ran for 5 years in NewsRadio on Broadway. It was amazing. But like Eileen and, oh wow,
Deanne.
I'm 64. So
Deanne.
the name, Deanne. They wrote Three Sisters. And so I was actually at the Brentwood Country Mart in LA, because if you know anything about Brentwood, you know that chicken, that rotisserie chicken you obsess, and they only take cash. And we were all like, I'm getting the chicken. Like, oh, you have to go to the rotisserie chicken place, ask Eileen. Anyway, so I was eating there alone, and I hadn't seen them in years and years and years. And then somebody goes, "Vicky?" And I was like, "Eileen?" And so they were eating at the rotisserie chicken place in Brentwood, and so was I. And then shortly after that, my agent called, and they're like, "Would you like to do an episode of The Middle?" So I think like they were like, "Oh, that's our Vicky," and then, so they asked me to do it. But they were very wonderful about employing everybody they could that had worked for them. Like, they're just so amazing as human beings.
Yeah. Well, that's great. It's not hard to want to repeat Vicky Lewis, though. It's not hard to be like that's not a hard decision. That's like they were reminded, they were stressed, they were crazed, and then they were reminded of your existence. That's all it takes.
Like, it's one of those wonderful things. But I don't want to answer your questions before you ask them, so I won't keep blabbering.
I've made your introduction. I don't care. We can go in any direction. We will absolutely follow you. We're going to try our best to follow your stream of logic or stream of consciousness.
Good luck with that. Yeah. No, so Paul Hipp played my ex-husband on Three Sisters, and he's Reverend Tim Tom. But I was just making that connection because Paul and I have been friends forever and ever and ever, and he's Reverend Tim Tom, and he was my ex-husband on Three Sisters. Like, it all just kind of like, it was one of those wonderful things. And how many... Wow, just pick a question.
I'm honestly looking through these questions. It's hard to find one that you didn't already kind of answer, genuinely. But I think this is, I'm wondering because, okay, so you got the call. They were like, obviously, we want you to come in and do this. The truth of the matter for me, when we watched the episode, I was like, oh my God, I honestly, like, I forgot. Because I haven't seen the episode since they aired. I was like, we got Vicky Lewis. Like, I cannot believe there were so many people, so many icons that I forgot even were there. And you did fantastic, but I was like,
You didn't recognize me, right?
No, of course
No.
I did.
See, I'm trying to finish the question again. That's a sickness. I need to work on that. Okay.
No, it's because you're such an active listener, I think is what it is.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really sweet.
Yeah, and you're a little crazy.
Yeah, a little.
What I noticed was I thought, and I guess this is what it is, because they just wanted to get you there. I thought you were actually kind of underutilized.
I thought so too.
It was funny because I didn't feel underutilized. I was so happy to be there, but it wasn't like my usual jam, right? It was.
Yeah, you were the straight role to it.
You were
You're
the
usually
straight man.
the fun.
It was crazy to watch.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, I can't watch myself, so I haven't seen it, but I remember it vividly. So vividly.
That makes me feel so much better, I have to say.
Really?
Because, I feel people look at me like I'm crazy. We're doing this podcast, rewatching them all, and I haven't seen seasons 1 and 2 since they aired, but I stopped watching after season 2 because, like, I can't watch myself. No. And people are like, why? And I'm like, I don't have an answer to that. Because. Yeah. Why would I?
Yeah.
I can't.
I was just doing this play, the master class, right? I played Maria Callas in it. It's like a one-woman play. It was such an amazing experience. And then I saw like a sizzle reel they made. I saw it by accident on Instagram, and I was just like catapulted into a rabbit hole of like, oh, that's terrible. It wasn't good. So you get this feeling about the work you did, and you feel good about it, or you don't. And then when I go to watch it, especially, and I changed up the subject, but especially if you're trying to watch something that was filmed while you were on stage, it doesn't ever translate well. No. But I just feel disappointed in myself. I'm just looking at only the flaws. It's usually the physical part. I'm just like, why do I look like that? How do I ever get a job? What's my chin doing? I'm kind of terrorized.
I just for the first time really did I got into I started doing this one person show.
Oh, and you did?
When I was workshopping it, I really had to I filmed myself every single rehearsal, every single one, and I watched. And then I filmed every performance. I did it at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Oh, wow. That's
so I also filmed every performance for the month that I did.
Okay.
And I watched it back every single night. And
did you learn? You learned?
I did. I absolutely did. It was the biggest thing. It was like a little bit like, ooh, yikes, my hair. How come no one told me it was like that? But it was like, I mean, like, oh my God, I missed a joke there. I didn't realize there was a joke there. And I wish I had done it. Or like, I wish I had responded differently to that audience member who called out or whatever. And it was I still can't watch myself on TV or listen to myself if I do if I'm a guest on a podcast. Yeah. But it was like, oh my God, I can't believe I've gotten over this one thing in this one genre. I don't know.
It's interesting that you were able to make it productive for yourself and that you grew from it. That's really cool to hear.
I only bring this up because it was, I think, the hardest thing I've ever done, and this is this is including the subject matter of my show, which is the insane labor and delivery of my kids, which is objectively should be much harder than watching yourself, but it wasn't.
No, I get that. Oh, I think that would be harder.
I think you would really
I'm not correcting you. I was just trying to hear. No, I wish I can see it. Where is it going to be next?
I'm going to film a special in LA. Oh, but you're in New York.
Did you want me to be in it? Is that what you're trying to say? You want me to be in it? I'm happy.
From a one-person show to a two-person show.
If I can fit it in between all the podcasts.
Please.
No, I have a house in LA, but I have an apartment in New York for when I do theater, which I love more than anything. But I'm basically in LA. So I want to see it.
Oh. It's going to be this fall. I'm not sure if it's November or December, but please, please come. I also really need bodies and seats.
I will look for it, though. I will look for it, and I will see it. Maybe I'll come with Paul.
Come with Paul, please do. I think you will. I think you'll really, really, really appreciate it. I'll send you Instagram message or email or whatever, because I think you would.
Do.
I think you'd like it.
Okay. Please do.
Were there any memories? What was, because you got the call to do the middle, and then you did it, and you were straight man, which was crazy, but you actually did it really, really well. I was like, wow, I had never seen you do that, and I was like, wow, you somehow did it. I don't think I could do it because I feel like I'm such a broad, kind of like you, such a broad performer naturally.
Yeah. I
you
felt
did
insecure about it. I did feel insecure.
Really?
About it. Yeah. Because
you had rewatching it back. You had a really nice tender moment at the end too, which was just so touching, which feels so opposite of what you do for like
door?
Beth and stuff.
I remember a door frame.
Yes,
that was the big
I think
twist.
that was.
That's when you said. That's when you were
right.
like.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, I used to date Mike," but then at the end, you said like, "Oh, you know what? I see a lot of terrible families. You're fine," and it was a really nice, heartwarming moment.
Wow, I remember that. But it was hard because, especially when you know, it's like I think it's very hard to walk into somebody else's show where the people are all established, everybody knows, and they don't know what you do maybe, or they have a distant impression of you, and then and then I was out of my comfort zone doing that, so it was a little,
No, but it is hard, especially because coming in as a guest star is hard enough as it is, but coming in as a guest star on a show that's still brand new. I mean, this is only episode 7, so they're still finding their footing. Yeah, it was only episode 7. So, I mean, Eileen and Deanne wrote this particular episode, so they probably knew the tone more than any of the other writers. But, like, they're still finding their footing. Like, I am doing this guest star spot on this new show that's coming out later on this fall, but, like, I just went in this last week, and, oh, my God, they're running so behind, and they don't know what they're doing. And it's just a crazy thing to step into.
But congratulations. What are you doing?
Thank you. So I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's tricky TV but you guys are great. Like, it's great when you come across truly talented people that don't take themselves too seriously. Those are the greatest sets to be on, but I think a lot of times people they take themselves too seriously, and then, it reaches a certain level. We all know, I'm just stating the obvious, and there's so much money, and then they just you start to take yourself too seriously, and then it's just not fun on the set sometimes.
Which is, I agree, and that is an insane thing that happens on comedies. Like, a comedy is inherently, it's like, it's not serious. You're doing jokes. You're playing, you're acting, but like, everyone needs to calm the F down.
Yes!
Like,
calm down, everyone. I know. I've had some scary ones. Like, I was on Grey's Anatomy when Catherine was not happy. And it was really tense, like, super tense. But I was standing with, not McDreamy, but the other one, the tall, very sweet. Those guys were very sweet. But there was a kerfuffle, and he goes, just stay out of the line of fire and you'll be fine. And I was like, he just met me. I'm not making this up. Like, this is toxic. Like, it just, crazy. And I don't know what she was going through. And I actually, after that, did a movie, The Ugly Truth, that she was in, and she was lovely. I think she was in a better place. I just think it had gotten really unhappy for her, but it was tense, and I was there. It was the first day. Yeah.
Can I ask you a crazy question, Vicky?
Yeah, please.
Do you audition for things, or are you only offer only?
Oh God, no, because I learned. Not to be. I'll just throw. I'm just going to say it the obvious. But when you get to a certain age in television, as I did, as a woman, you become invisible. And it's like right around, there's that shift. It's usually like 40s or mid-40s, depending on how you're aging, right? Not to be, but it is. And my peers, a lot of them just being like, and my agents going like, this should just be an offer only. And I was like, I can't afford to do that. Like, first of all, I want to work. And I think it's weird, like, to be me. I mean, I think I'm talented, but I think you count yourself out by being offer only when time goes on and, like, the casting people are younger. I couldn't count on anybody to actually know what NewsRadio was. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But also, you grow and you change. And so I always think it's to my advantage to go in the room if I can and work on the material. So I'm never, I'm not offer only. I mean, on rare occasions, I guess it happens.
I'm sorry, even for like obviously the middle was an offer, duh, right?
Yeah, that was
like,
rare.
But really, like even for one-off, like sitcom, you're such a, but you're such a proven. I don't know. I just feel like really,
matter.
like, cause didn't you do
Not
Modern Family?
Yeah, I did Modern Family. I auditioned for that.
You auditioned for Modern Family?
Yeah, I auditioned for How I Met Your Mother. I auditioned for all my jobs. Like, I'm trying to think of
Vicky, was there like a honeymoon period? So like NewsRadio was a sitcom on a network when like multicam was at its like peak in television history. So was there like a honeymoon period once NewsRadio ended where things were just coming in and it was offer only and it felt like all these offers were coming in? Or did you like, okay, it ended and then it was back to the grind as it was pre-NewsRadio?
I felt like when it ended, just as no matter what, theater, I'll be on like an amazing Broadway show for a year, and then like I'm always back at zero. I think we always somehow, it's like it never stacks up. But while I was doing NewsRadio, that was a time of, I was offered Chicago on Broadway. I was taking meetings for like Mouse Hunt and Pushington. So I was meeting with directors. I wasn't auditioning per se. So, and work begets work, especially, So that was happening. And then, it kind of just, that was fun while it lasted. And then it just became regular again.
But you do seem like I guess that makes sense if you are auditioning. Like, you seem like such a workhorse. On paper, it does not look that way. It looks like you haven't stopped moving.
Yeah, but if you really look, not to be like, so you're not looking, but no, like if you look, it'll be like, the three shows in a year.
Right.
That's three, right? So it looks great on paper, but that's 3 one-offs or 3 recurrings that are 2 or 3. So it's actually, and I like to be busy. And I'm so grateful I do theater as well, because that, it fills it all in. I'm able to, and my husband and I created the sound design, the voiceover department at USC. And so I did that, and he's a professor there. He's the head of the sound design department, but I taught there as an adjunct for, like, I was doing that. I like to be, engaged.
So actually, let's talk about voiceover for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it is, for me personally. Okay, so here's my story that I wanted to tell you, or that I had to tell you. So I do, as Brock said, as I'm going to tell you, I have 2 children.
Yes.
They are 3 years old.
Are they twins?
They're twins. Yeah, they're twins. They are in fact twins. What a weird thing for me. I should always just say two twins, because people are like, I don't understand how they.
No, and see how many people don't like do the obvious math connection.
Yeah.
Oh, are they twins? Yeah.
But we were actually in New York for a month because I was doing my show all over the East Coast, and we just made New York home base. I don't want to be away from them for, a month.
This isn't whiskey, it's tea. It looked like whiskey for a second when I turned it that way. But
now I'm disappointed.
Go on.
Honestly,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You seem like the kind of person who would like put tea in a whiskey bottle.
You're absolutely right. No, you're absolutely right. That sums me up to a T, which is why I'm 20 years sober as of July 14th.
Wow, mazel tov. That's amazing.
Congratulations.
Wow.
When you live with Nick Nolte, people don't think you're sitting at home knitting. So, I mean, that was a weird little chapter there. You know.
I really want to get to my story, but I need to know, when did you live with Nick Nolte? What? We're following this thread for sure.
I learned that on Wikipedia as well, Nick Nolte.
We met on my very first movie that I did called I'll Do Anything. It was before NewsRadio. And we met on that movie, and then I got NewsRadio, and we were friends. And then we just started dating, and then I moved in with him, and then it turned into, like, some weird, it became dark. He he was
Oh, no.
sober when I met him, and he's wonderful. It wasn't his, it wasn't going well, and then I kind of fell in through the cracks as well. Yeah.
Wow.
Not kind of,
Wow.
I did. Yeah.
Wow. I
We
would
we lived together for 7 or 8 years. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't
That
realize
is
it was
so
that
many
long.
years.
Because we were living together during NewsRadio, during Three Sisters.
But
Yeah,
like,
you
what
don't
a
know.
crazy experience to have, like, whoever your partner is at that time when your career is like had its first like huge high point as like being a series regular.
Yeah.
Like, there's those
Yeah.
people that you surround yourself with are forever cemented in that experience, and they're always going to be a part of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Have you ever heard Neil Flynn's impression of a Nick Nolte impression?
No, I don't.
No.
I need to,
It's
probably.
fantastic. You should call him up immediately. We sort of have to wrap up soon, but I feel like this list of questions we have, we got through about one of them.
Okay. Wow. Is that like the worst of all the track records, probably?
No. I will say this
Really?
is one of our most fun interviews we've had.
but
100%.
people usually let you ask the questions, right?
Usually, yes.
Yeah. It seems like a thing
How-
people. Right. So predictable. So predictable.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to say that basically we had two long flights with these 2 3-year-olds, and the thing that saved us, because for some reason they're obsessed with the movie Moana. They're just obsessed with it, and for whatever reason on this airline, Moana just wasn't working. It wasn't. And so we were like, the only other kids movie that was on it that I could tolerate was Finding Nemo.
Oh.
And so we watched Finding Nemo on a loop for 5.5
I'm
hours.
so sorry. I'm very sorry.
No, it's okay.
I did
No.
notice because I was flying. I saw it on the plane too. It must be like circulating right now.
It is.
Sure.
And I have to be
Yeah.
honest, I watched it and I was like, God, who's playing Flo? Like, this has got to be a comedian. Like, this is so good. And it took me into the second round. I was like, is that Vicky Lewis? There's
I love it.
And I looked it up and I was like, how, again, icon, ICON. Like,
Well,
so
you know what's funny, and I'll say it very quickly, but me and Dave Foley and Andy Dick, we had an audition for Bug's Life. And Dave Foley got it, and I didn't, and Andy, God knows, he didn't get it because when he came out of the room, he was like, you're telling me that you enjoyed it, but I just feel like that's not real. Like, he was doing the Andy Dick thing. And so, like, are you just tell me right now, like, am I getting a call back, or am I, like, he was doing that, which is so Andy. But, so I didn't get it. So then, years later, I got a call I did get offered Finding Nemo. But that's because they had saved my voice, because they liked it, from A Bug's Life, and every now and then they would put it under a character, until they found one that they liked.
Wow.
So it was an interesting story. Yeah.
fantastic. We have to, truly unfortunately, I truly wish you could stay forever, but we do have to wrap it up. And so we are going to do our the thing we always do, which is the blue. I can't, we've done this 6 times already, 7 times. I cannot say it. Blue bag grab.
Oh, blue bag grab. That's tricky. Because it could go into other bad work. That's hard if you mess up the wrong way.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're gonna it's gonna be rapid fire.
Okay.
I don't think you're gonna have a problem with this at all.
Okay.
And
We'll see.
whether you get it wrong or right doesn't matter. We're gonna start right now. Brock,
Now I'm
take it away.
nervous. Okay, go.
Don't be.
Okay, so we're starting out with middle trivia from your episode.
Oh, no. Okay.
So as we mentioned, you played the social worker, right? On this
Yep.
offer only that you had for this episode of ABC's The Middle in 2009. What was your character's name?
I have no idea.
Okay.
A sad name, probably Claire or Debbie, right? Because she was so unhappy. Don't know. I have no clue.
Miss Barry.
Oh my God, Miss Barry. So she didn't really have a first name.
Okay, so that's a no.
Okay, I failed. Totally failed. Keep going. It's going well so far.
But I think you're going to do better on this. But also, again, it doesn't matter either
It's
way.
not gonna go well. I can feel it. I can feel it.
This is a 3-part question.
Oh, great.
I am going to list a production you were in, and you have to tell us the name of the theater.
Okay.
Here we go. This should
First
be
one's easy. You
out.
just finished.
Yeah.
First one's just
Just
easy.
finished this masterclass.
Bay Street Theater.
Ding, 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 ding. Already better than me.
And now, I do have a question, because you played opera singer Maria Callas. Did you see that? I just learned this literally 2 days ago, that Angelina Jolie is playing the same character.
Yes, and the accent. I'm sorry, but like
I don't know anything about Maria. What's the accent?
Well, it's tricky because she was born in Greece. She lived in New York, so it's Greek, it's Italian, it's a mishmash of accents, but you have to do your homework on it. Like I had a dialect coach, and then you have to learn Italian, you have to learn French, there's a lot of language work, and I can't believe I'm saying things like language work, but yeah. But anyway, okay, questions. I feel good about this. So I got that one theater.
Okay. Snoopy the musical.
The Lambs Club.
You got it. Damn Yankees.
It's that new theater. It's like in a mall. Like it looks like a mall. It's the Marquee.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice. All right. 3 out of 3. Fantastic.
Okay.
Yes.
So this one, there is no wrong answer, which is good news. It's just a rapid fire. What's your favorite venue or theater in New York, or I guess wherever, to perform in? Do you have a favorite theater that's like, this is the best one to perform in?
I like the older, I didn't love the Marquee because it's a newer theater. So I like the theaters where there's history. So I can't remember where I did Anastasia for a year. What's the name of that theater? It's right across from the St. James.
Are you the same one as like a viewer? You like to see shows in old theaters as well? Or do you mind if it's newer or older?
I like those old. I love the St. I love all those, and I love a more intimate house. I don't like I just don't like the newer spaces. They don't feel as, I don't know. Yeah. I like the ones where you there's ghosts and stuff.
All right. Another rapid fire, no wrong answer. In recent times, a musical or play that has blown you away.
That I saw?
Yeah.
I blew myself away.
It can be one of yours.
No.
Or that you hated. That you had a really strong reaction to.
I don't want to be negative, but Bad Cinderella was unwatchable. That was a bad. That was real.
Don't worry. I think that was everyone's take.
Bad Cinderella, I couldn't believe they kept going, that they got a cast, that they got money. I was disappointed in Funny Girl. That production was sterile. It was actually anachronistic. They were in these weird locales. I just thought it was misguided, and it really disappointed me because I love that show.
This is one more, and we're bringing it back to the middle, because this is the middle podcast, not the Seinfeld podcast. Episode when you did the home visit to the Hex, and Frankie, Patricia Heaton, asked you for a drink. What drink did you ask for? Would you like multiple choice?
Okay.
An iced coffee, a Diet Coke, herbal tea, or a Pepsi Zero?
Herbal tea.
Yes!
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah! We go out on a high.
We go out on a great high.
This was way much the moment you called me, I don't know, an hour and 40 minutes ago, trying to figure out the tech of it all. I said, this is gonna be a fun hour of my life. I can tell.
Yeah.
You guys, I love you.
Vicky, this has been a blast. Okay, Vicky, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you very, very soon.
I love you back. All right.
Okay, I actually loved what we did last week when we read the letter from the listeners. So we have so many of them, and if you're listening now, Eden and I, we're reading them all. Again, there's a lot of them, and they really mean a lot, and we truly are reading each one. We're hand-selecting a few to put, onto this podcast, but we are reading them, and we have a really, really good one coming up for you. So Eden, take it away.
Hi. That's not me. This is the start of the letter. Starting now. Hi. OMG, I'm so nervous as I write this. My name is Emily, and I'm a huge, in all caps, huge Middle fan. Growing up, my mom called me Sue Heck because I legit lived the life of Sue. Examples include examples. Examples include never making sports teams, but finally making the walk on track and field team. Finally making the walk. Was that a thing? Walk on track and field team?
Like you could just join. Yeah, like walk on.
Oh, okay.
You don't need to try
like
out.
a no cut thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Never making sports teams, but finally making the walk on track and field team as a shot put and discus thrower. I don't know what any of these terms mean, but I'm here for it.
The Okay, Emily, I'll see you at LA 28. I'll see you at the Olympics, discus and shot put.
Okay, so here, Emily, I'm so sorry I'm butchering your letter, but I'm loving it so far. As a shot put and discus thrower, countless injuries and bad luck, and a drive for wanting better and seeing the positive. Right. You have a drive. You have that fiery drive is what you're saying. You have a drive for wanting better and seeing the positive, just like Sue. Thank you so much, so with 3 O's, for 9 amazing seasons I watched when I was in middle school through sophomore year of college. God, what a crazy formative time. Crazy. And it would make my night when there was a new episode. Anyway, I'm so grateful that the two of you are doing this podcast. I am in love with not only your friendship, but the inside scoop. It would be a dream to meet you, Eden, especially since your character is so, 4 O's this time, close to what my life was like. And Brock, it would also be a dream to meet you. You too, Brock. As someone who identifies as queer, representation is so 5 O's this time, which is true. So important. Plus, I mean, who doesn't love Brad and all the laughs that came along with his character? Oh. I hope to hear back, and please come to Pittsburgh. Thanks, Emily. Emily, I guess we should go to Pittsburgh. I was in Pittsburgh. I did 2 shows in Pittsburgh.
Oh.
Oh my God. Emily. That's all right. We're going to do a live recording of our podcast. We're going to, maybe we'll tour this next.
We have to. Yes.
And she said, P.S. I am attaching a photo that references me as Sue, and it is a wrist with a cast fractured in 3 places. Great job, Sue Heck.
It's this Facebook post she sent. It's so funny and just references herself as Sue Heck. It's precious.
So sweet. I will say, Emily, that was so sweet. It is so important. I love that you identified with Sue, and I love that you kind of identified with Brad also. I love that it was a mixture. I love that each character provided its own form of representation, and I love it. Oh, I'm quelling.
Okay, Eden. I think that's it for today. How do you feel? I feel good.
I feel really, really, really good. The only thing left is to remind everyone about our Patreon. Patreon clock. It's Patreon. Go to patreon.com/middlingpod. Find us on socials. Rate us wherever you're listening to us. If you listen to podcasts, you know that it really makes a difference, so please rate and review.
And Eden, you know what next week's episode is?
No. What? Oh, I do know. Yes, I do. Wait, stop. Yes, I do. I know that 108. I know what 108 is.
Tell our audience.
It's the premiere. It's the Brad premiere. It is
Brad
your
makes
premiere.
his entrance.
Oh my God. The beginning of the rest of our lives.
The beginning of Brew. Eden, I love you, honey.
I love you so much, Brock.